Hello everyone, welcome back to another Woodworking Wisdom. This should have gone out live at 3 o'clock, but we got a couple of problems just uploading it to YouTube, so we'll do our best to get through this afternoon and get it uploaded to you as soon as possible. Thanks for your patience and tuning in anyway though. So today we are looking at a love spoon. We got a really nice kind of simplified, I guess, love spoon, and that gives everyone a chance. It makes it accessible for everyone to have a go at this nice little project. And I mean, these love spoons, they can get really complicated with all sorts of lovely designs on there. And we'll talk a little bit about the designs as we go through, because they're very symbolic things as well. There's lots of great videos on YouTube as well. You know, have a little look round, investigate this stuff a bit further. But today we are kind of going along with a blog that we've done, a step-by-step blog where you can kind of join in and go through the paces to make one of these love spoons. And like I say, we kept it really simple for this to make it accessible for everyone. Okay, so first things first, we've got a few bits on the bench over here that we need to look at. I've got a piece of lime, and we're gonna carve this from a piece of lime, and I've got my little template here. Template is downloadable. It's just down below the video there, and you'll see that word template. That is the link to our paper template, which is a downloadable PDF if you wanted to have a go at this. So I'm just using a bit of this this Copydex. Of course, you can transfer this onto your piece of wood any which way you like. Carbon paper would do the same thing. You could just sketch it on there, draw it out. So yeah, however you like. We haven't got any questions today because we're not live. This is a pre-record, but Steph is looking after us on the cameras. And we're just going to go along and pretend we're live anyway. Okay, so there's our template. This bit of lime is about 20 mil thick, just under 3/4 of an inch. And we need a couple of bits to do. We need to drill in through each of these kind of captive areas on our love spoon, because we want to cut them out so they're all nice and hollow, like that. So, drill. We need to keep the drill bit nice and straight as we go down. Just have a little peek. My little board underneath is very thin, so I don't want to drill into my bench. Almost there. I can see the spur just peeped through. So try and keep the drill nice and upright. Good. Looking along the back there, we've got our 4 holes, and this external shape we're just going to cut just like normal on the scroll saw. Now, I really like those lip and spur drill bits. They don't give you too much breakout, and of course when we sit that down on the table, we're going to have that nice flat face and no kind of burrs. If you do get one, we can just whiz that off so it's not rocking on the scroll saw. Good. So that's our template. Let's take it over to the scroll saw. And nice simple job, this one. We've got nothing too tricky to cut. And I'm going to cut those internal shapes first. So we're coming off the clamp, turn our little thumb screw there, which releases the blade, and then just thread that through. And away we go. Goggles. Let me find my goggles just on the bench here. Really important. We've got our eye protection on, and I've hooked this up to an extractor. So we're just going to go around our shapes. Let's come in around this way and start to cut this shape out. My little blower is engaged there. It's getting rid of all the the dust which may lay on the cut line sometimes. But let's just take this nice and slow, keep that curve moving around, and just keep feeding onto that blade. Now I'm going to come up to that that kind of stop area, come back up the cut, and then join in to our drill hole. I'm going to turn that off, lift this one up, and get rid of that. And that allows us into this area without any kind of hindrance. Okay, so let me just get that so you can see everything on screen. On with the scroll saw, and we're going to cut down into this little V of the heart here. So nice and simple. Let's get that out of the way, and it's on to the next shape. So just threading that through our keyhole. You can hear that extractor just sucking that dust away there. Blade goes in. So I need to back that off a little. Blade goes in. Quick tension on there. You can always pop a little bit more on the back of the machine if you need it. Okay, sorry, let me just rejiggle this. Make sure you can see what's going on. We're good. And again, we'll just cut this little keyhole shape. This time I'm backing up the line, twisting the project, then coming around on a curve to meet that bottom line. And we want that nice and straight, so that meet up with that one, and then we can rest on the back of the blade here to come across the bottom the other way. In stop cuts here and here, we're not going to push this down, okay? And it's not going to go under the level of the vise or the bench. So I'm going to start off with the bowl here. Okay, I'm going to use both hands to kind of give us a decent grip, and if you look at the way I'm using this knife, we're limiting the cut. We're overhead there, but actually my thumb is off at a real angle. It looks as though I'm coming towards it, but it's not. It's we're just gripping our fingers in, and that's the kind of motion that we're going for with this knife. Thumb down on the vise for a bit of support, or it could come up to the edge of the workpiece. Okay, so going to work across the grain for this one. Again, I'm bringing my other hand in for a little bit of stability, and we're going to just make some cuts coming towards the center here, and just use that hook knife just to clear that off. If you find you're lifting the grain, if you're coming one way or the other, you'll find that the grain kind of rips, okay, and you kind of get this little tear in there. So we can use our hook knife across the grain like this, and just bring it in to get that nice kind of even rim on the bowl. So nice and gently when we're working in that area, and then we can take some bigger cuts using that kind of grip technique. And of course you can switch it around in the vise and come from the other direction. Really neat little tool, this hook knife. Can be a bit of a pain to sharpen. We like to use little strops, and you can always roll that curved blade along, and I'm putting my finger on top to add a bit of downwards pressure. Okay, that's going to polish this knife. Just bringing it out because I couldn't quite get my handle right the way down to get right on that inside face, and just pushing that along the strop to polish this front edge. A trick to these is keep them sharp. Don't let them get too blunt. And even just that few strokes, I can feel a difference in the cut. So limiting that cut with my hand, and I'm just bringing my other hand in for a bit of support really. And really you just want to work on that bowl until it's down to the depth that you want it. This is a decorative spoon. Not so much, you know, it's not really one you're going to be eating with. It's a it's ornamental really, and that's why they've usually got this kind of shape in the top, so that you can hang the spoon up, so it goes up on the wall. So just try and keep that that rim looking good. Carving down into that middle section, these two different directions of the cut are kind of meeting up and giving us a nice nice shape. Even across the grain this can lift sometimes. It's just, you know, coming at the right angle really. Make sure it's all nice and even, that we haven't got too many kind of lumps and bumps. So usually I work at that a little bit more, get that a bit deeper. And again, always take your time with something like this. This is not a job you want to rush. Even if it's Valentine's Day tomorrow, we need to take our time and make sure we're using these safe practices. Because it is very easy to, you know, to slip with a knife like that. Always keep yourself fixed onto the bench, so pressure down with your hand, your palm, your thumb, wherever you can kind of get some stability, so this knife isn't just kind of traveling, or your arm's not traveling through air and potentially you know, having a boo-boo. Okay, so we're not far off now. Just want to make sure that these are coming and we haven't got too big of a drop off. This time I'm using the actual handle of the knife. So my thumb's on the bench here, and the handle of the knife is kind of butting up against my thumb. Okay, so there's a little bit of work to do in that, but you get the idea that we need to trim that bowl and get that nice kind of even dip.
How far would you recommend going down, if it were yours?
For the depth?
Yeah, for the depth. How
Depth of the
far would you
spoon?
say?
Well, it's really for show. It's up to you, really. You could do a really deep spoon. A good way to check, just pop a little straight edge on the top. You could always get 2 and measure it if you wanted to measure it. This one is, it's only about 5 mil deep at the moment, but it looks a lot deeper than that. Not quite so much on the flat there, but you can see it kind of casting that shadow. You can see the it doesn't really have to go very deep, and again, that's a kind of personal choice. Do it how you like. But it is a spoon after all, so we do want a nice, that bowl has to be there. That's a kind of integral part of the shape. But take that deeper if you like. I'm not going to today. We have got a couple of other examples that we can show you. Okay, so let's do a couple of other little bits regarding carving. So I've got my little Flexcut set here. So we want the handle. Be really careful how you're taking these out of the packet or out of their holder. We don't want to pull this one out and foul ourselves on any of these. So I'm going for, this one is about a 3 sweep, I think. And it's about 9 mil wide, so that'll be a 3 sweep 9. Picking this one because it's kind of echoing the shape of the gentle curve here and here. We've got it again there and there. Okay, so that's why I'm choosing this one, and I'm lining up that cutting edge and then just bringing it up high. And if we come onto camera 4 there, Steph, you can see that that's going in nice and straight, and we need to just put some downwards pressure there, and this is going to be our stop cut. We need to do the same here, so offering up the cutting edge, bring that up at 90 degrees to the workpiece, and then just pushing that in, a little bit of a wiggle, and we want to go fairly deep. We want this heart to kind of stand proud of these bits here. Good. We've got the same here. We can always take these a bit deeper if we want. So our stop cut, a little bit of pressure, not too heavy with these. We know they've got quite a thin steel on this. And the same there. A little stop cut, which we can just pare some of this material off up to. So now we've got our cuts in, we can start to carve away. Just taking small cuts by raising the handle on the chisel or gouge, and just taking them up to that stop cut, and you should find this chip just falls off. Okay, if it doesn't, we need to just take in a little bit more of, put a little bit more on that stop cut. And again, we carve up to that line, and these chips should just fall off, and that quite quickly gives us some depth. Coming back this way, okay, so I've gone down beyond that stop cut. We don't really want to pick those off. That'll give you a little kind of fluffy edge. we want to just get down into that one. Take that a little bit further, and again, this is up to you how deep you want to take this, whether you want to actually separate the two so the two actually really do intertwine and we don't have it as an illusion, but quite quickly getting this little shape on there. Let's come up to these other stop cuts, hands always behind the chisel, pairing those off just up to those stop cuts. This glue can create a little kind of slip with the tool, so just be careful as we're working, and you can always take that back off. Good.
So Ben, quick question from me.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously as a novice, and everybody at home is probably knows this already, but does it matter when you're planning this piece and sticking down your template? Does it really matter what grain direction is? Is it quite important for this section that it's in a certain way? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. So the grain on our piece of wood is coming straight along, so nice and straight grained. You know, if you've got any knots or any patterns coming through, quite often they can look really nice. But they will, you know, if you're a beginner, try and stick with something straight grained and a nice and easy sort of timber to work with. So this lime, or basswood as they call it in the States, is a really nice, easy material to work with, and it holds detail really well, like for your carving. So grain direction is important. We don't want to have the grain running this way, because then it's very short grained in this area.
Thank you.
So hands always behind the chisel. We're really just kind of trying to relieve this heart shape on the top here. And you can remove quite a lot of material. You know, even though we've got this very thin steel, they're super sharp and you can just whiz the material off. This hand is kind of holding the blade and coming back with the blade, okay, or the steel. It's not, you know, I'm not doing this. I'm holding the steel like this, and then they're all moving together, so as not to pull the, you know, that cutting edge, you know, into the danger zone, if you will. Good. So a little bit more shaping to do on this. Like I say, this is part of a blog post. We have a how-to going through all these steps. So check that out. This is a kind of companion, I guess, to a video like that. And I'm just taking almost a little kind of chamfer off of the side here. So that's pulling up the grain as I'm coming around this corner. Remember, we've got the grain direction here. I'm kind of picking at it there. So let's come back the other way. At this stage there's still plenty more carving to do. So that torn grain we're just going to carve right back off. So as we come around the corner here, we want to travel this way. If we're working back around this way, we just need to walk around the workpiece and start to round these edges off. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this template now. There's a bit more. It's got a really You know, you've got a bit more work to do up in this bowl, or I have a bit more work to do here. But for now, we're just coming around these shapes and just knocking off that hard edge using our chisel. So remember, this curve, we're coming this way and we're coming this way. So from that kind of high spot, if you will, we're going back the other way, and that's going to sever off those fibers in the grain instead of pulling them and the wood sort of tearing, if you will. And back this way, and then these little bits can be a little bit tricky. What I tend to do is get them as best you can, so into the center, come back the other way, and hopefully you'll meet up with the one you've just cut. And if not, we can always get a bit of abrasive in there to tidy that up later. So quite quickly you can throw a shape onto this. It's just thinking about, you know, that grain direction. Make sure you're working with the grain. And like I say, we can always do a little bit of sanding to bring these in. But what we're trying to do here is just soften all of these hard edges. And you can also do this with a knife. You know, if you prefer using a knife, prefer the kind of whittling type action. Let me grab, we can use this PELICAN knife here. So where are we? So the way I'm going to hold this, I've got the workpiece in one hand, I've got my knife in the other. This is the Flexcut little PELICAN knife here. Again, we need to be wary of that grain direction, and I'm going to put, you know, grab the project, nice, a good grip, and then one thumb behind the other, and we're going to just, using both thumbs, we're kind of making a pivot shape. Okay, again, really safe. We don't want to be hacking like this, although there are a couple kind of green woodworking methods where you can work like that, but for here we've got a nice seasoned bit of timber. We're just going to use this little kind of pivot technique to get rid of some of these hard shapes. Sometimes I use my my kind of off thumb, if you will, never kind of shoving it through the project with this hand holding the knife. And again, you can take material off quite quickly. I quite like this sort of faceted look, the kind of hand carved look, and you can also use that kind of grain direction to really kind of horse material off. If you're not down to where you need to be and you're not worried about the finish at this point, you can split, you know, areas off. So that's it really. We just want to sort of follow this shape around, make sure we're happy, rounding all these areas off. Just make sure you've got full control of the knife all the time. You can work fast, but just give yourself some practice first. Take a few practice cuts. Make sure you're happy with it. So it's coming together. We've got our kind of basic shape there. We've got a little bit of an overlap going on through here. We've got the beginnings of a bowl that does need a tidy up and a sand, and then of course the kind of padlock heart at the top there. A lot of symbolism in these spoons. Quite often you'll see chains which kind of symbolize that kind of link together. This is a padlock, so we're kind of promising your heart to someone. You'll sometimes see keys. You sometimes see balls in cages which symbolize the amount of children you're going to have. But this is really a kind of love promise, if you will, this love spoon. But check out those symbols. Welsh love spoons are really lovely, old tradition, and some of them are fantastic. If you get start having a look round, there's lots of great people on YouTube doing videos on these spoons as well. Check them out. Okay, so you can get the rest of the story. We're going to carry on like that. We're going to round these shapes off. Keep going with the knife, with the gouge, if you if you prefer. And you can also use your other carving tools. This one's got a flat back on the moment, but again, just if you want to shape the back, I like to do at least the kind of head of the spoon here. Make sure it's got that kind of gap in, because like I say, this will be hung on a wall or hung up on display. So quite often you'll find these spoons have a flat back. But I like to at least relieve this. So there we go. We're kind of splitting off with the grain there. We took that big chunk off, and now we can kind of blend that in. Come back. So we're working with the grain. Just remove that, smooth it in. But you can use that, use that to effect sometimes. If you've got a lot of material to come off. I like this PELICAN knife because it's got that long sweep on it. You can kind of get that pivot going, it'll cut right the way along. Good. So you can see the shape coming together. Here's one we did earlier in true kind of Blue Peter fashion, all rounded in, softened in. So the next stage after this, once you're happy with the carving, I like to just separate the spoon off of the handle using a little cut along here, and again have that in your vise and use the curve of that gouge or chisel to match that profile along. And that's the same thing, we're doing a stop cut and then we're taking little cuts up to that to remove that material. And then it's just a question of sanding. I like to sand mine with quite a rough abrasive at first, something like a 150. That will really start to blend things in. And quite quickly as well, you don't have to spend too much time with the sanding. That will soften in all those little facets. And as you go, just make sure you've done all the work that you want to do with this kind of higher grit abrasive, or lower number, I guess. So this is a 150 grit. We want to get rid of all our kind of tooling marks and stuff with this one. And just keep going like that until you're happy with the shape. What I then tend to do is put some hot water on it. So a sponge with some hot water, that's going to raise the grain. And then I like to have a little quick go over with this 150. And then we can start to go through the grits, getting finer and finer each time until we end up with a really nice kind of smooth finish. Okay, and then just a drop of finishing oil on that one to kind of to finish it off, bring out the natural kind of beauty in the wood. that's about it for today. Like I say, this links up to a how-to online. You know, if you wanted to go through that step by step, the templates on there as well. But enjoy. You know, really good to give this one a go. And Valentine's just around the corner. It's a perfect gift. Thanks for joining us. Come back soon for more woodworking wisdom. If you've enjoyed this, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe, and we'll see you back for more soon.